All right, and we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the comic book community. My name is Chris, and this is We Love Comics. I hope you are enjoying your day, depending on whether you're watching this live or watching it minutes, hours, weeks, days, months, whatever, later on. It is a little bit after 4 o'clock on the 10th of March 2017, and as you can see, I no longer have to sell any of my comics. As a matter of fact, I did not have to sell even one of them. Um, it ended up that at my job, being a licensed massage therapist, I was able to work extra hard, dedicate my time to trying to promote selling gift certificates, which I was able to sell a very big one, and that will complete our ability to get the water heater slash oil burner um, without having to sell one comic. Now, I just wanted to explain one thing. As far as my voice was concerned, as far as my health, I'm actually completely better. The reason that I ended up losing my voice and basically sounded like a squeaky toy going through puberty is the fact that we had the crack in the oil burner that we didn't know about, and it was basically leaking toxic chemicals and fumes into our home, which basically clogged up our vocal cords and basically was choking us to death and potentially killing us. So once I found out about that, in between, I took a couple of sheets of metal and covered the crack for the time being while we were waiting to replace the water heater. So I wanted to thank those that cared enough to send their messages and their comments. They were definitely appreciated. One of the things and one of the reasons why I decided to do this video live is I wanted to show people that if you put in the effort and you don't give up, eventually you can get the things that you want. Now, life can be funny that way sometimes, and especially I see so many videos about people that want to get comics, ones that are out of reach, and they say, well, I'll never be able to do it. The one thing I want to hopefully inspire people on when it comes to their passions is never give up on them and don't let others convince you that you can't do something. And that was one of the biggest things I fell for, especially on the previous version of this channel. I let other people influence my belief systems, my motivational skills, and others can affect you. So if you are having goals of getting a certain comic or a certain job or a certain partner, whatever, sometimes it's going to be challenging. And I find that things that are the most challenging tend to be the most rewarding. So I made a video a couple of days ago, which I took down, which is the video showing about 11 comics that I needed to sell. Yeah, I did need to sell them, but didn't want to sell them. And ultimately ends up now I don't have to sell any of them because I put in the effort to try and work harder to find other ways to be able to get the money that we needed. And if it wasn't for my wife and my mother, it would have probably taken a little bit longer, but it shows sometimes when you have a strong family unit, things can go your way. So if you are out there and sometimes the things that you want are out of reach, don't ever say to yourself or let anybody else make you think that something's impossible. If you work hard and you put your passion and intensity into it, you know what? Even if it's to prove other people wrong, that to me, if it gets you what you want and you don't give up, you'd be amazed at how things can turn around. It's not always easy. It depends on whether you're a fighter or a person that gives up. Now, that doesn't mean bad things are going to not happen. Doesn't mean there's going to be situations where, oh, I have all the money, I'm ready to get that special comic or that special thing that I wanted, and all of a sudden something else comes up. Life can throw curveballs in that way. The idea is to not get discouraged. So to the people out there that have the hope and believe in themselves, it can take some extra time and it does require work. I mean, just sitting on your couch saying, oh, I hope and pray is not going to do it. You have to get up and find out what is it that you need as a goal to achieve what it is you're looking for. So if you have a specific comic in mind that you're looking to get, take a picture of it and put it on your wall. Find out, I mean, get something realistic. I mean, it's not going to be very easy to get something like, Detective Comics 7, but something within a realistic goal range. Take an image of that comic and post it on your wall and say to yourself, what do I need to do to be able to get this particular thing, and how long realistically would it take? I mean, if that means you have to return cans or shovel snow or rake leaves or do the little things it takes, you'd be amazed. I mean, you can do trades. That's another benefit. It's all about communication. It's all about not giving up. So if anything, I can show, hopefully to the few that care. I mean, for the ones that don't, there's nothing I can do about it. I had one particular troll come here that I tried to give a second chance to, but I ended up blocking them again because, according to them, they're bored. So this is what they do with their free time. There's some people you can't help. And those are the people that are going to try and put you down. They're not going to like you being happy or successful or have something that they want, because most people are not willing to put in the effort. They're not willing to do or go the extra mile. And that's all that does is affect them. So if there's a comic book out there or something that you want, even if it's challenging, think of it that way. Think of it as a game, like a challenge. And if you work hard at it and you don't give up, sometimes you get rewarded. It's not guaranteed. But the main reason for this video is just to explain that I'm okay. The fact that I found out that there were toxic fumes going into our house, when it comes to things like carbon monoxide, for example, you can't smell it, you can't taste it, you don't know it's there. So if I can teach anybody anything, even here on a comic book channel, is go get a carbon monoxide detector. Be safe for your family, because my father did die in a fire. But to let people know that the comics that I had to sell, I no longer have to sell. So I was able to raise the money that I needed with the help of my wife and my mother to get this new oil burner system. We just have to stabilize the stairs downstairs because it's an old staircase, and we'll be able to get the new burner. So the beautiful thing is, all the comics that I really didn't want to sell, now I don't have to. So to those of you who made the offers, I thank you. I'm lucky that I didn't have to sell any of them, but it is also good to know, if you collect comics or anything of investment grade, it's good to know that if an emergency happens, that you can actually do things like this and sell a comic or sell some of your collection, even if you don't want to be able to fix a problem. So they come in handy in that way. And that's one of the reasons why I say, a lot of times, if you're able to, try and get duplicates of your comics. So this way, if you have to sell something, even if you didn't want to, you're only selling one of the 2 or one of the 3 or one of the 10, and you still have it. And that's why the majority of the comics I was even trying to sell, I had multiple copies of, so it stings a little less. So if you ever have the opportunity to get an extra version of the comics that you love, if a situation ever arises where you did need to sell them, because, despite what some few people say, they are your property, you can do whatever you want with them, and too bad if somebody else doesn't like what you do with your stuff. At least you would still have extra, so you didn't lose it. Because we do have an attachment to our possessions, whether we want to believe it or not, and especially when it comes to something that could be based on our childhood, the nostalgia aspect of it. So I can understand, because when I was selling those comics and put that video up, I'm sure some of you can hear it in my voice, I didn't want to do it. But sometimes you just have to. The good part is, I ended up not having to. So that video is down. I no longer have those up for sale. They're not on eBay or anything like that. I get to keep them. So I want to thank those that made the offers. And another thing I would recommend, and I think this can help people as far as getting comics for cheaper prices. I had a couple of people that made offers. Well, they basically asked, how much am I looking to sell them? Now, obviously, because I was trying to sell them to pay for an oil burner and water heater, I was trying to get the most as possible, so I made higher quotes. And then I never heard from them again. Now, the ironic part is, if they would have came back with a reasonable counterorder offer, I would have most likely accepted them. And that's the one thing I want to tell people. If you do a best offer on eBay, for example, just because somebody turns it down the first time doesn't mean you should give up. Be persistent. Be consistent. communicate with people. And that's why a lot of times I've gotten like 50% off of what somebody was selling something for, not because I was trying to trick them or anything, but I was just trying to communicate with them. And if you communicate with people civilly, which, in this quote unquote community is not always easy, you'd be amazed at what can happen. And the worst they can do is say no. But I find a lot of people give up way too quickly. It's okay to fail, but it's not okay to give up. And believe me, I've tried that. So through my experience, sometimes you learn things. So if there's a comic out there that you want, motivate yourself to figure out what you need to do to be able to get it. Because if it makes you happy, then isn't that what life is supposed to be about? Unfortunately, there are a few people out there where the few bad apples try and spoil the tree. I just say throw out those bad apples and concentrate on the fruit on the tree that is good for you. So we all learn. So thanks for listening. I hope you have a great day. If you want to comment, you're more than welcome to. If you want to thumb it up, that's great. If you're here because you have the need to stalk me and thumb down the video, well, have at it, because if that's your achievement of the day, congratulations. Hit subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Peace out, everybody.